Happy Thanksgiving, Nick Arcana. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, minus the fact I don't have turkey in front of me. I don't have cranberry sauce in front of me. I don't have mashed potatoes in front of me, and that's a real travesty.
But at some point very soon, you'll be having all the stuffing, all the mashed potatoes, all the potato salad your heart can desire, as I will, as we celebrate the day. Well, we
I'm
shouldn't really
thinking
get
about
into
Honestly, I'm
the.
thinking about going to Cracker Barrel just to get like because they always do like fried turkey breast, and it's always delicious. I'm thinking about doing that. Um, yes, I know my family does have plans, but do I really want to see my family on Thanksgiving, or do I want to go out Black Friday shopping? I don't know what I want to do. It's kind of the scale's
well,
kind of even.
well, it depends on Black Friday. If you go to your local store, is there a great deal on waffle irons and waffle makers? Because if there is, you really want to grab those. Those are worth killing over. My new favorite Eli Roth thing, easily. Super impressed. Now,
There's not much to choose from, though.
well, what's fun about Thanksgiving too is like we were talking about on the stream podcast about these kind of movies are better watching with people. So I did uniquely the first time. We had a lot of fun watching it together because it's the kind of movie that's just fun with people watching it. Now watching it, but that said, watching it now by myself, maybe not as fun, but on the second watch, still some decent rewatchability. I still, even knowing who the killer is, I still got a kick out of it. I do realize on the second watch now, you see all the clues about like this is a
He,
who done it, but it's pretty. There's some obvious clues here, like that opening point of view shot of somebody walking up the door,
mhm.
and then it actually being Patrick Dempsey. It's like, oh, that's pretty clever. And then he's like, says he likes to cook. Throwing the clues right out, essentially, Eli Roth. All right. So yeah.
It's called foreshadowing because he's not a killer yet. Not in the
Well,
opening.
well, he's probably killed criminals. He's a cop.
Well, that's different. They shouldn't be trying to shoot at him.
I think that one thing we've noticed, we always know this too. This is the case about Scream 6 as well. Unfortunately, the truth is, I don't know if you remember this, Nick, but the first time we watched it, at the beginning, we all were like, okay, everybody in the first 10 minutes, guess who you think the killer is? And I guess Patrick Dempsey because there's a thing where it's like if you have a well-known actor that's like randomly in the movie,
And
it's
not killed
almost
off first.
they're almost always the killer. And it's like something about, oh, well, they took on this role because they thought it'd be fun to be the killer. But Scream 6, the detective, forgetting the actor's name, but that's a well-known actor. And him being in it was kind of just like, he's probably the killer. But
Yeah.
you see Patrick Dempsey, you're like, okay, he's probably the killer.
Yeah.
It's so.
And because I don't want to. One, I didn't want to bring up say the same name you did, and also, I'm sorry. I was hoping the movie wasn't going to do what it did, but I stated, and it still would have been an obvious choice, but I stated it was Ryan because he wanted the girl. The boyfriend of the girl was telling them to piss off all the time.
Yeah,
Obviously, a lot of animosity, not just towards the boyfriend, but the rest of her friend group. Because the
mhm,
friend group even thought he was creepy.
right.
So again, it would have been the obvious choice still, but I still would have honestly preferred that over Patrick Dempsey because again, Patrick Dempsey did seem a little too obvious.
Yeah, so for you, it sounds like Ryan was an obvious suspect. Um, one thing, the movie could have done a better job of, and this is true of all whodunits. Okay, the killer's wearing a mask, right? So
See,
we don't know who the killer is because they're wearing a mask.
see,
But we do see the killer's body type. We see how much they weigh, how tall they are. These are all factors. Now, when you're doing a whodunit, if you're casting smart, what you do is you cast a bunch of actors to where physically you can believe that they may be the killer. So the reason why your head goes to Ryan almost subconsciously is because you can picture Ryan in the costume with that size and everything like that. But for example, the other boyfriend, Bobby, who is the
Who's-
other like, oh, it could be Bobby. Bobby's like short and his body type, you can't really picture that as the killer. So like better casting would have been like a bunch of actors who all look like the same under the costume. It's like,
So,
oh, we really don't know then. So
so
that's the one issue too.
I will say you say this, but harken
Don't
to
bring up
Scream 5.
I say don't bring up I knew you were gonna go Ghostface. Look, they've already said with Ghostface, the creators who just didn't care, they're just like, hey, no matter who the character is, Ghostface is Ghostface. So it's always going to be like, as you know, a 6 foot person with extreme super strength. Yes, they take off the costume. It's a 5 foot woman or an older woman. They can still overpower people, throw big security guards through across the room. That's
I mean,
different.
I
That's the
mean,
Scream universe, but that cannot be the norm for all horror movies. All right, if I'm for believability, I'm just saying for Thanksgiving, for example, that's an example. Based on the movie, the only 2 actors you can actually see being the killer costume-wise is Patrick Dempsey or Ryan. There's nobody else. I guess Evan maybe.
yeah, but
But
he was too stupid.
yeah, well, he would be but well, he's stupid also. I think he's the one that really pissed off the killer because of him filming the whole Black Friday thing and the way he was doing it.
Oh yeah.
I think the killer probably was like, "Oh, this kid."
Well, let's face it.
Right.
He not only pissed off the killer because he filmed it, he pissed off the killer because, in a sense, he's the one who started that riot by literally flaunting in everyone's faces that, "Hey, I'm in the store. I'm buying a phone."
Yeah.
If he
Yeah.
didn't do that, the people may not have noticed him.
Yeah.
But the fact
Well,
that so in a sense, he indirectly started that riot.
I don't think it's a coincidence that at the dinner table later on, like the killer really specifically made sure to take out Evan first with the hammering his brains out. So
Yeah, but
but let's get back to
that's-
let's talk about the opening. Let's talk about
so
Black Friday in general for a moment.
so two things pissed me off about this.
Yep.
Probably in a good way, probably in the way Eli Roth wanted it to be. But first, there should be nothing open on Thanksgiving Day.
Yep.
I don't care what the reasoning is. I don't care if you want to get Black Friday started early. Also, what is all these people on Thanksgiving doing out trying to get Black Friday deals? Shouldn't you be home with your family eating a turkey? What the
Well,
hell?
Well, that's gonna be the motivation for the killer to be like, "Hey, I'm gonna kill everybody in Thanksgiving fashion to restore the traditional Thanksgiving ideals in their mind by saying that if you don't eat turkey with your family, I'm gonna turn you into a turkey." But that all said, here's the thing. We all remember, we all grew up. I mean, maybe kids these days don't realize that Black Friday, because now it's mostly online. It's mostly more civilized online.
Yeah, because
But
Black Friday no longer
we
actually has deals.
But we grew up with this kind of Black Friday where it was something where there was some big deals, and the store would open at like, I mean, I remember at one point Walmart did in a way where it was like, eventually they did where it's like, Thanksgiving evening. But I remember even when it was like the morning after Thanksgiving, but like 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. So people would be camped out in line all night sometimes to do it. Now, during that time period, yes, eventually you would every once in a while you'd read an article about things getting out of hand, things getting violent, but that was usually like something where like one person was hurt. This movie,
Hurt. There was a security guard who literally got trampled to death.
not only that, yeah, Gina Gershon's character, who is going to be the main character who um, Dempsey wants to avenge here. I mean, somebody runs a cart into her head and like just doesn't care, and it's like
See,
this is just like full blown murders going on. Like,
yeah, see, this is the part that also pisses me off. See, it's one story if it was accidents. Unfortunately, the whole the security guard who got trampled. It's sad. It's annoying. It's bad. But at the end of the day, it's classified as an accident because he did fall and nobody noticed. Nobody paid attention because they just wanted the deals. This movie did it in such a way where it was all intentional.
It didn't ring true to me. I know that the idea was that this is gonna be so over the top. I wish that it would have been more grounded in reality. Like, there's enough of a chaos that the woman accidentally gets killed in the chaos.
Right.
But everything's still, like, being normal, but then, like, just a little bit of a rush where something happens. This was like the security guard, for example, right? At some point, everybody's just walking on him. That's like that doesn't ring true that people are literally just, like, walking on someone's face, and because you still look down when you're moving. Nobody runs without, like, something in front of you and you walk up a little thing, like, you're gonna know you're walking on a human body. So that
Mhm.
all didn't ring true to me, and then the other thing I wanna mention about Black Friday was when I w when 'cause I participated in some of those all-night things, and the truth is that there would be, like, one unbelievable deal. It would be, like, a 60-inch brand new TV, normally priced at, like, $1,500, for Black Friday was gonna be priced at $500, and there was gonna be only, like, 20 copies in the store, so you had to be in line early to get in one of these TVs. Now, this movie should have shown everybody going towards like 20 TVs, but instead they're grabbing waffle makers and making it seem like they're killing people to get toaster ovens. I mean, come on. Wouldn't you appreciate if it was like they're there to get a PlayStation 5 and everybody's like dying over a PlayStation 5? They're grabbing waffle makers and toaster ovens and microwaves. Like,
So the funny
what
bit about
is
this
wrong with people?
is when this movie came out, that was also the year I noticed Black Friday wasn't a thing anymore.
Oh yeah.
Because a thing I remember about Black Friday was usually a Walmart that was 24 hours here would close for about 8 hours to get the entire store set up. And then the store was set up in such a way that you had to take a path. So that way it would minimize the amount of people like bum rushing each other.
Yep.
You'd have to take a set path. So unfortunately for me, who stupidly went out on Friday because that's at the time when I got paid, went out on Friday for grocery shopping when I should have just waited till Saturday.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh damn, I wanted those Doritos that's over there, but I gotta walk 15 freaking
Oh,
minutes to get to
whoa,
the store just to get those
whoa,
Doritos.
whoa. Let me get this right. I just processed this. So
Just promise.
so everybody's there for Black Friday to get the special deals, and you're there just for normal grocery shopping.
Yes.
You had to go on Black Friday. All right, so we're cutting to what is it, 1 year later?
1 year later, and
Things have changed.
nobody likes Right Mart anymore because they're not right. They're
Wrong.
still talking, and they're also still talking about opening another Thanksgiving after what happened.
Well, listen, greedy people still wanna make money, tragedies happen, but greedy people still wanna make money, and this is no different here, so
In fact, here's one thing that pisses me off in the movie. Again, the whole movie, I'm pretty sure, is supposed to be satire. It's not supposed to piss you off. I still feel like Eli Roth did this on purpose to get a rise out of us. But when our characters are sitting at the table in the diner, and the character Lizzie pops up to try to get her attention, she goes, "Honey, this ain't right, Mark. You can't have it your way." I'm thinking, woman, you're the one who literally rammed your cart into a woman's head and didn't give a flying fuck. You're the one who broke through glass, trampled on a security guard, and you're acting like they're the problems. No,
right.
people who it's honestly, I did say the store shouldn't have been open on Thanksgiving, but at the end of the day, it's not the store's issue. The issue is the people who lost their damn minds and caused all that carnage to happen. The store didn't do that, even though you did
No,
see some store employees fighting, but
well, yeah, I mean, this is the enemy here is not any one individual person, the enemy is the people in general, mob mentality, whatever this was. I mean, as I said, it didn't ring true or realistic to me, but really, the killer would have had to basically hold everybody accountable and really probably should have killed about 50 people here if his idea was to kill whoever's at blame. You have to kill the entire mob then. So instead, he's targeting a few specific people with the idea
Who
of.
had more direct involvement. Because let's face it, if he killed the whole town, he's going to be out of the job.
Now, why do you think though the security guard he kills though?
Oh, the one that ran? Because his whole thing was
Yeah.
he was a coward, and his involvement could have saved his soon-to-be wife. Which, in actual fact, no, that man probably would have been dead just as much as the other security officer.
Well, yeah, the other one basically got trampled. My thing is like, okay, the security guard, let's assume not making much money there. What's happening is way beyond his job at that point. There's an entire mob,
Town.
entire town is going crazy. Um, yeah, why is he supposed to put his right? First of all, yeah, exactly. What could he do to help at that point? And then why would he put his life at risk at that point? He's not a cop. He's a security guard. Probably, I don't know. I felt like killing him was a little. Well, there's going to be some deaths in the movie that are just random. Let's just call it what it is.
So I would say
This is not all revenge. Some of these deaths are going to be just unjustified.
So to be fair, the security guard's death is unjustified in my opinion, but I wouldn't say random. I'd say this is
That
a
was not
man.
random.
Well, yeah,
This one's fine. There are some that are random though, but this one's not.
Yeah, this guy's death was more, yeah, undeserved, but at the same time, you still got a character who's going through such grief that he doesn't really care. He just wants to punish those he believes is in the wrong.
No, he took the exact perspective you said. He's like, "Oh, well, you ran. You could have prevented it." It's like, well, probably not, but that's his perspective. That's why I killed him. Hey,
But
look,
he did not kill the cat
he fed the
named
cat.
Dewey.
He fed the cat.
If he tried to kill the cat would have came back because one, cats have 9 lives. 2, this cat was Dewey, so that cat has infinite amount of lives.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would have hated to see him stab the cat in the back, but that would have been more Dewey-ish. So to survive some backstabbings, but no, I mean that was a fun death scene. Security guard. It just was like kind of like I was like, oh, it's interesting. He's targeting him. So
the most hilarious death, because we actually had to pause the movie for this one, was the diner woman's death. Her name is Lizzie.
Oh man.
Now, so she tries to jump into the dumpster, and the dumpster somehow cuts her in half, and we had to pause it because all three of us just could not stop laughing after that.
I was thinking like, would that actually happen though? It's like her body like so cleanly, quickly splits in half. It's like
that would not have. I don't think that would have happened. But the weird part is, I could have sworn. I mean, you said that you couldn't really remember too much if this was the case, but I could have sworn that the killer got out of the car and just looked at her for like a quick second before it cut to the next scene. Whereas when I watched it today, it just went straight to the next scene immediately after her getting cut in half.
I don't think there's any other version. So it has to be this one because I haven't heard there being an extended version or a director's cut or anything. So
I guess it was probably
the version. So
I guess it was probably the fact that we paused it to laugh is probably why it felt longer.
I think because it's played for comedy, it almost has to be how we're seeing it. Like the quick cut makes it funny, whereas if it's a slow thing where he gets out the car and looks at it, that feels more dramatic. So I think this worked better being comedic and stuff. So
well, there's one character we didn't get to talk about, Lonnie.
Lonnie, yes. Well,
so you think this guy who literally stole something from a cop to cause a riot, to start the riot, then what's even funnier is during that whole event, when he noticed the glass was breaking, I think it was because he was afraid he was going to get pushed down and trampled on, because he started telling people, guys, stop, this ain't going to end well.
Yeah.
But then Lonnie's death, is kind of honestly completely random to me.
You think
Not
so?
saying he didn't. Not saying he didn't deserve it, because again, he was the instigator to an extent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the random part was he was just sitting there watching a girl jumping on the trampoline, and then the killer just randomly showed up, twisted his head 180 degrees, and that was it.
It was more, if I'm correct, I believe this happened after she was at the after the kids were at the police station and pointed out to Patrick Dempsey about Lonnie.
Yeah,
Seemed a very clear sign again on rewatch that, oh, this shows again Patrick Dempsey's the killer because that triggered in his mind, oh, I got to go kill Lonnie. When I bring up random deaths, though, like, okay, this cheerleader randomly dies for what reason?
well, she was also there. She was with Lonnie when it during this, but at the same time, it's like, how did he get without her knowing? By the way, without us seeing and her knowing, because yes, her back was turned to her. But I feel like the angle the camera was sitting at, we should have seen the killer move over there, get under the trampoline, which would have been dangerous because bouncy, bouncy. And then he starts stabbing upwards. I'm like, for one, ow. And for some reason, anything with the Achilles heel or the ankle is an ow for me.
Oh yeah, I mean, I used to jump on a trampoline as a kid, and this made me never ever want to like go near a trampoline because
But
it's a freaky idea. So
yeah, but again, I'm just like, how did this guy get under the trampoline without us or the girl or anything seeing it?
I just think that even if you think the guy was instigator, it just seemed over the top to kill the girl too. There was no reason for it. Now, one thing I guess, I mean, this is a whole discussion to itself, but one thing we had noticed and talked about, and I saw people online talking about now also as well, was the idea of we're going to be told, of course, that there's only one killer here. But as the movie goes on, we start to see a lot going on to when the killer's revealed as Patrick Dempsey. You go back and watch on the second time, you're like, well, could he have done all this by himself? Because there's many times, especially as the movie gets into the later half, where they'll cut to him, in his cop uniform doing his cop thing. And then you cut to the next scene and like the killer's there. And you're like, this dude is like, first of all, he's like changing in and out of the uniform
Pretty damn quick.
very quickly. But then he's also like, I guess, able to magically appear all over town, not get suspicion from his fellow employees. So it feels like the Roman from Scream 3 thing where in that script there was a second killer. So some of the stuff feels like there's a second killer and then there's not, but they're like, okay, maybe that was from the earlier script. With this, it almost feels like, I mean, you could have done this by yourself, but especially if when we get to the live streaming, I don't know.
Let's see, because the next one is actually one of these examples. So you got the whole school scene. Evan and Gabby got kidnapped, and then we get the chase scene and the art room tense scene, which is pretty good use of tension. Plus, the way she hit herself among the mannequin heads
That was good.
Yep. But the reason we bring this up, because you brought up the whole is this possibly two killers, is the fact that immediately after getting out of there, escaping the killer, she called the cops.
Yep.
And it's very possible if she didn't just dial 911, she probably called Patrick Dempsey right off the bat. So if he was the killer person, if he was still doing everything by himself, that means he had to go out the back door of the school, run all the way to his car, which is admittedly probably across from the football field.
Right.
Go across the football field, change out of the overalls that he's wearing, get into his cop uniform, wait a few minutes before he then drove to make it seem like he drove from the police station.
That scene is like, it starts to raise your suspicion. It's definitely possible. I'll say what you described sounds like something that can happen. So I give it a little bit more leeway on that scene, even though it starts to you start to bat an eye. You're like, well, this seems a little bit off, but
Well, let's
okay.
be fair. That's also if she called him directly. If she called the actual 911 place, again, I'm assuming him being semi smart, he'd be like, "Oh, now she got away. She's going to call 911." Does everything I just said. Does it all of it exactly the same. Waits about the amount of time it would take for her to call. Say someone tried to kill me. Get down here now. Then make your way there. But he also has to try and make sure he has the right route of coming in, so no one pays attention.
Right. Okay. So
He's doing a lot of running if he's by himself.
that's a good example. I think that well, before we get to the parade, I will talk. We can talk about also. I think it's the girl's Russian, right? The Russian girl.
Yulia.
Her whole setup is really interesting to me because she has like a mafia connected father who has like a bodyguard there, basically.
Yes.
Patrick Dempsey's very bold because I would think that he doesn't want to get tied up with the mafia.
So I
okay.
think with this particular one is they did mention, albeit it was a very quick thing, and this is what they say after the parade is, it's possible he was prior military, maybe a type of special forces like Navy SEAL or something, because he obviously has some type of skills.
Oh yeah.
And different arsenals at his weapon. Like in this case, he had tranquilizers to knock out the cop, knock out the father, which you think after killing the daughter, you might want to make sure the father is dead too.
But see, that stuff made me, again, it made me already suspect Patrick Dempsey then. It was something like Ghostface in Scream 6, where remember in the
Bodega?
Yeah, when he has the gun, grabs the gun.
Yeah.
Whenever someone seems like kind of like good with the guns, I immediately jump to, oh, it must be a cop then. So like that already made me kind of feel, oh, well, this is probably not a teenager, one of the teens. It's probably, but anyways, yeah. So that's something they have to be careful with too. Like when you show the killer do stuff that like a normal teen can't do, you're just like, well, I'm not suspecting that's Ryan then. So,
I mean, that's fair, but
I thought this sort of Russian standoff with them and then Scuba deer? Scuba diving? He
or
shows up.
Scooby Doo.
Scuba shows up, and Scuba is so fun. This is not because I'm trained to feel like minorities always get a bad rap in horror movies, but I just
one does in this movie. Her name was Yulia because she was Russian.
No, I know that, but with Scuba specifically, though, I don't know if you feel this way. I kept thinking, dead man walking. Every scene he's in, I'm like, he's dead. He's dead. I kept expecting him to die. I don't know why. Especially because they keep putting him in positions where like he's like having like some one-on-one combat with the killer. And I'm like, oh, Scuba, you're so dead. But credit to Scuba. Well, actually, discredit to Scuba because he forgets about the safety on the gun. So
yeah. To be fair,
he could have shot the dude in the face. He had a gun, but safety was on. So
what's funny is even Yulia, when she heard he had a gun, she's like, "What do you know about guns?" Apparently, nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Yulia at this point.
Yulia is the only one I feel like did not deserve what happened to her. You know, just all of a sudden getting pushed into the Saul because something that just because she was there, unfortunately.
Well, that's what I'm saying about the cheerleader too. I'm like, some of this is just like,
I'm talking about she was the cheerleader. She was just there at the store when everything happened. It's just because Yulia's the only one, in my opinion. We didn't get to know much of the cheerleader. So Yulia's the only one that I feel like did not deserve what happened.
Of our main characters, basically.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So it's sad she got sliced right in front of her boyfriend, nonetheless. And then Turkey Man gets decapitated at the parade.
So the parade is where the second thing comes. Now, the entire police is like doing this whole sting operation at this parade, right?
Yes. Where's Patrick
I
Dempsey?
I don't think he can actually go missing without his fellow cops not noticing. It's like you're like the head of this operation. You're like the one giving the orders. How do you then plan out now? I'm ahead of this, but I'm also going to go change now and be the killer. It just doesn't without like an accomplice there. That's a lot to be like. He's actually doing the operation, but then he's able to disappear into the clown costume. Now, ironically, he actually gets into the sheriff's car and drives off, which makes you think like, oh, okay, well, he's just getting into his car and driving off. Again, possible, but starting to raise the eyebrow of like, I think this parade was a nod to I Know What You Did Last Summer when they're on that when they had that little parade scene too, by the way. So
Yeah, so then you after the parade, because we'll get to my big one
now,
after
now, now, well, we're maybe talking about the same thing, but just to say after the parade, they cut to Patrick Dempsey at the police station.
yes.
So when this live stream starts, Patrick Dempsey's there at the police station.
So
Okay.
this is where we need it. Let me talk about this one scene first. Because it was also a pretty good tense scene, which was Kathleen's death scene.
Yep.
It was good up until it got stupid. Let me explain.
Okay.
Because the whole thing in the basement of this building was good. It was tense. I think she tried to keep herself from screaming when she found Lonnie's dead body.
Mm-hmm.
The killer was constantly looking for her. She would make noise. He would go to that route.
Mm-hmm.
It was when she goes upstairs
Mm-hmm.
and decides instead of, because she at this point has a head start on him, instead of going out the front door
Mm-hmm.
or the back door, she tries to open up a window that's boarded shut.
Mm-hmm.
And you could argue, oh well, maybe the door was also boarded shut. No, because when she gets chased, she runs straight out the damn front door.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well.
so anyway, if anyone wants a nice Thanksgiving turkey, her name's Kathleen.
I think it's interesting that he's really sticking to like. I mean, the movie's called Thanksgiving, so obviously the killer has to like really stick to like the Thanksgiving themes with all the killings. But it's just kind of funny because I mean, it could have been just like I mean, he's trying to get revenge for the Black Friday thing, but he's like really ODing on the whole Thanksgiving themed killing. So like, okay, it's like really taking the whole Thanksgiving aspect very serious, I guess. So.
So now we can get to this because after the Kathleen's death scene, we then get to him at the police station, gets the
Yes.
live stream, which I'm assuming you can set up on a timer. And then
Okay.
he's there with the cops and tells them, hey, you go this way, we'll all meet at the point where the event is happening.
Right.
And then when they get to that point, you know, they find out they were watching that's a phone set to a monitor. And then Patrick Dempsey, I guess, went all the way across town to an old, to like an old shack that we saw earlier in the movie to then start the full actual live stream. Like, so I'm guessing after everyone took off in the direction you told them to, you got in your car, which I'm assuming people should notice your vehicle is missing when they come back out. You get
Well,
into your
no.
vehicle, drive away.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
again, if you're,
but also too, like thing is like when they're doing this whole thing about meeting at the spot, just whatever, they still at some point, yeah, they would be trying to communicate with Patrick Dempsey to let him know what's going on or whatever. So it's like at that point, yeah, he's already across town getting into killer costume, but he still has to like maintain communication with the other cops. That's why I'm like, it seems very tricky because like if he doesn't communicate with them, they have to think that something is off there. Either, oh, he's been killed or taken, or why is he not communicating back? That's why. But to your point, like it's just from him, like that's a lot to risk and plan out to be like, I'm doing that, but then also I'm gonna go be the killer. It's like, now, okay, the actual dinner scene, disgusting because we see the cooked turkey.
yeah. The turkey, they had a name, okay?
Did you see the wine?
Yeah. The wine also had a name, okay?
He said you
I
should let
just
that.
don't know the cheerleader's name.
It was a funny line. He said you should let that breathe for a moment. um,
That even the whole thing, in my opinion, wasn't disgusting. I think the act or the thought of it was disgusting because obviously cuts into the Kathleen turkey and feeds the piece to her husband. Whereas, yes, I can see where that is disgusting. To me, I'm just like, I watch Green Inferno.
well, if you can eat General So's while watching Terrifier, you can do anything. So.
Well, the reason it's funny because Green Inferno is also an Eli Roth movie, which is about cannibalism, and there is literally a scene where a guy gets ripped apart and eaten alive.
Oh.
If I
So
can watch that, I can watch this movie.
when they sort of escape from this whole thing, again, I'm just like, Scuba again looks like he's about to die. So I'm like,
At this point,
he
at the very
gonna die
least,
this fight scene. So
at the very least, I was thinking, okay, if Scuba died, because I was thinking the same thing. Scuba's going to die here. At least it's a respectable death because he is fighting back.
yep.
I will say props to our killer, whoever he may be, because I don't believe this is Patrick Dempsey. As he just busts through the wall like Jason Voorhees.
That was probably a nod to Jason. I'm thinking. Okay,
yeah.
but so I was gonna get to our next horror portation here because riddle me this, Batman. So we have the little chase scene here as the girl escapes.
Yes.
She chases her to a big fence,
Yes.
which she climbs over.
Yes.
You see her run away. You cut back to him just like staring menacingly.
Yes.
She runs for about 1 minute onto a road then.
Yes.
We're up, down the road. You see the car and you see Patrick Dempsey on the ground in police uniform with his face messed up.
Yeah. So I don't know if I mentioned this before, but
Yeah.
our killer's costume is obviously the John Carver face, the top hat, but as for what he's wearing, at least, and at the very least, one of the scenes, I don't know if it's all. I'm assuming it's all, but he's wearing an overalls, a dark overall, which most of the time they are dark blue, which is why they probably look full black at night. So, but he's still wearing overalls, dark blue overalls, so that way, obviously his actual clothes are not going to get blood on them, so no one asks questions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he would have been wearing when that happened, because his police pants and the overall pants are both different.
Mm-hmm.
Riddle me this: how did Prickles get on his police pants? Is he maybe in a rush? Do you think maybe he just put on all of his police gear, the top police gear?
On top of
Maybe,
it.
yeah. So then I'm assuming damn, that's why Patrick Dempsey lost, is because he was so dehydrated from sweating. Because overalls are hot as hell to be wearing.
I'm just thinking that if he's able to get so far ahead of her where he can just like be like laying down the ground, why not just capture her? Why put on this old thing at the end then? Just stay in your killer costume, but just if you're that able to get ahead of her, then just get ahead of her and capture her and bring her back to the damn thing. So I'm this is teleportation, which we label horrorportation. Obviously, it's there in a lot of the Ghostface scenarios. It's there in a lot of the Jason movies. It's definitely here, and I don't know. I don't know. What'd you think about the actual ending? Because I thought it was a very weak. I There's something funny about the line, "No leftovers," but
Well, it's the tagline to the movie. The same tagline thing that we would not have gotten during the tagline pop quiz we got when we were at Galaxy Con Richmond. So,
but there's something egregious about when the killer's death is like so off screen that you automatically know he's not dead. Like it's so like there's so nothing shown. Like they cut away completely to where it's like that's not even like a proper ending. I mean, it's like it's too off screen. Come on.
I will say for me, this ending, as you said, it was weak. It was weak compared to the whole movie because it wasn't fast paced. You think this kind of movie would be a little bit more fast paced. It really wasn't all that tense.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'd rather them had Scuba for this scene instead of Bobby, because Scuba would have just fought back and we would have at least gotten some kind of fight scene for this.
Oh yeah, we should mention that in all of this activity of him having to be a cop and the killer, apparently at some point he also had kidnapped Bobby and drugged him.
Yeah.
Uh, Patrick Dempsey has the energy level.
for what? How old is he now? Like 55?
I mean, this man got a lot done in this day. Like, geez.
Overall,
And where the hell was Ryan during the entire ending?
oh, I know exactly where he was. He was the one who chased Jess in the prickles.
So you automatically think that Ryan's the second killer.
Yes.
He who already has everything he wants. He has the girl.
Yes.
I just don't see the motivation. They'll have to really make me. If they first of all, if they go, I think more likely Ryan will be the opening kill in the next one. That's what I'm predicting. Because that's gonna throw you. That's gonna throw you right off. Then you're gonna be like, oh, well, never mind. So
well, they're going to have to do that because again, Ryan. Once the last time we see him was right after the school event, right?
Yep.
So then all of a sudden he just disappeared, and all these scenes where Patrick Dempsey would have needed 2 people for this or horror rotation. You know, Ryan's nowhere to be found. You would think with everything going down, Ryan would have wanted to try and make sure Jess is safe if he really did love her.
Well, wouldn't Patrick Dempsey want to kill Ryan because Ryan was there at the place also?
Like Ryan didn't go in. Ryan didn't exactly go inside. I think after Ryan got the Adderall, he left.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, the ending, because the movie, it leaves so many characters alive, which is okay. I mean, obviously you're diluting the idea of a final girl if you leave so many survivors. But it's not like Scream 6 where everybody was getting stabbed and still surviving. It just happened to be that there's this many survivors. And you had the whole love triangle and Patrick Dempsey's not dead. You have to have a sequel with this because there's such a non-ending here that this doesn't work as a standalone. You have to have a sequel just to contain the story. So,
well, we're getting a sequel. Apparently, they're shooting for a 2025 release.
Perfect. I'm happy. Well, overall though, I gotta say, I had fun. This is much better than Stream, that's for sure.
How dare you, sir?
Much better. Nothing gets you in the Thanksgiving mood like seeing random woman thrown into the oven and cook like a turkey.
She wasn't random. She was Kathleen. Okay, get it right.
Kathleen was evil. So,
well, I mean, she was the reason why the store was open.
Yeah. So, you had pretty creative kills, I have to say. Fun stuff there.
You had a cat named Dewey.
I'll say this: I didn't care about the characters, but I didn't hate them. They were pretty generic, boring characters, but they're likable enough, I guess. Except Evan, but he was killed anyways, I guess. So, the love
Plot
triangle.
Twist. Yeah. Plot twist. Evan's actually alive. They put his brains back in his head. They like zip tied his head together.
Was he a zombie? I don't. All right. Well,
you're gonna be mad if he comes back for the next movie.
You know, the longer this episode goes, I feel like our brains were the ones that were mashed out. All right, because I feel like my brain's leaking across his desk right now. The longer we go, so
that's because we've been at this for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Actually, 3 hours if you want to be technical.
Folks,
we're going crazy. We want to get the fuck out of here. Let us leave.
Folks, we had some not even technical difficulty. We talk about a bunch of random stuff before we start recording.
We had brain difficulties, okay? Let us go home.
All right. Well, no, we love spending time with each other and the audience. So.
That's why we're not in the same room together.
Man, But folks, look, I don't know about Nick. I crashed off the caffeine about 35 minutes ago. So, all right. So, anyways, Thanksgiving for me, I give it overall genuinely positive remarks. A solid slasher. Feels like a 90s slasher. It feels like very much like the 90s movie Valentine to me. So I feel like it fits right in with the late 90s slashers. An ode to that. It definitely feels like Valentine. Why are you looking like that? Nobody tied
We
themselves in a body bag, but other than that,
that's we hated Valentine.
no.
If you don't believe
Because
me, y'all can see our old Valentine video or recording in our somewhere in the videos. So if you want to hear our thoughts on that,
well, never zip yourself up in a body bag. It's just stupid. But anyways,
never go
well,
out with someone named Brian who talks in the third person.
oh god, and that character didn't even get killed. It was just like, wow.
No.
Um, do you want to give your final thoughts on Thanksgiving, and then we'll wrap it up?
My final thoughts is the movie's good. It was definitely a sigh of relief because when I first heard about it, being Eli Roth and yeah, being Eli Roth and also being a modern slasher, I was actually worried the hell that was not going to end up good.
Mhm.
But to my surprise and to my enjoyment, it was a fun movie. It definitely doesn't take itself too seriously. And overall, I do recommend it for people who are a fan of slashers. Also recommend it for people who are a fan of Patrick Dempsey being magical with his horror portation. And
Mhm.
overall, y'all don't have to go home, but y'all do got to eat your turkey. What are you doing still watching us? Eat that turkey. It's getting cold. Your grandma's probably calling you right now.
What are Why don't we each give our top 3 Thanksgiving foods? What's
Oh,
we'll say?
okay. Okay, let's see. Fried turkey breasts. Okay.
Mhm.
Mashed potatoes and gravy. And then chicken wings.
Chicken wings.
Chicken
Interesting.
wings.
So you
You know
have
why?
chicken wings with Thanksgiving.
You know who makes the chicken wings?
Huh. Ah, okay.
I do, because to be fair, I'm not a big fan of turkey.
I was gonna say, oddly enough, like this doesn't sound maybe controversial to Thanksgiving lovers, but I'm all about the side dishes on Thanksgiving. I want the stuffing, the green
Oh
bean
yeah.
casserole, the potato salad, the mashed potatoes, uh, corn on the cob, even though after Children of the Corn, maybe not so much. Um, um, and I'm not a big fan of cranberry sauce, I have to say. Never did it for
I'm
me.
not a big fan of cranberry sauce, but yeah, mashed potatoes is. You mess up mashed potatoes on Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving's over.
Over. Well, folks, yeah, enjoy your Thanksgiving dinner. Be thankful for all the good things in your life. Hope you have a nice, solid meal in front of you sometime today. And
And
if you're gonna watch Thanksgiving, watch it after the meal, not during the meal. So
and also, if you have to work on Thanksgiving, I apologize. Tell your boss to go fuck off.
yeah, but hey, at least maybe they're getting some kind of overtime pay ish.
So the job I had that I had to work Thanksgiving on
Mhm.
never got any kind of time and a half unless I was over 40 hours.
Yeah.
So again, if you have to work Thanksgiving, uh, I do not envy you. You are a trooper because I couldn't do it anymore. And tell your boss to fuck off because you got family that you want to spend time with.
Indeed. Happy Thanksgiving.